My name is Wesley Carrington, and I'm about to tell you how I destroyed my wife's life without breaking a single law. But first, let me paint you a picture of the woman who thought she married beneath her station. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. Jolene Mercer, well, Jolene Carrington now, though not for much longer, stands exactly 5'8" in her bare feet. Add her signature 4-inch heels, and she towers over most people in any room. She's got that sharp-featured beauty that photographs well for her boutique styling business, all angles and attitude. Her blonde hair is always perfectly styled, her makeup flawless, and her tongue sharp enough to cut glass. Me? I'm 5'10" on a good day, brown hair that refuses to cooperate, and I work as a network technician for a mid-sized tech company in Baltimore. I'm the guy who keeps the servers running while everyone else takes credit for the smooth operations. I'm also the guy who apparently wasn't tall enough for his wife's ambitions. It started small, like most betrayals do. Little comments here and there. Wesley, could you grab that from the top shelf? Oh, wait, maybe I should get it. Laughter from her friends. Jolene, how do you two dance together? More laughter. Does he need a booster seat at restaurants? I played along because I loved her, because I thought marriage meant supporting each other through the small cruelties of the world, not becoming the source of them. Our penthouse apartment on Charles Street overlooks the inner harbor. I'd worked my ass off to afford it, pulling double shifts and freelance gigs to give Jolene the lifestyle she wanted. The place screams success. Floor-to-ceiling windows, marble countertops, smart home system I'd installed myself. Everything connected, everything monitored, everything under my control. That should have been my first clue about what was coming. Last Tuesday started like any other day. Jolene was getting ready for her weekly coffee date with her 3 closest friends, Megan, Letitia, and Simone. These women had perfected the art of supportive destruction. They'd build you up just high enough to push you down harder. Wes, have you seen my black heels? Jolene called from our bedroom. Which pair? I called back from the kitchen, where I was making her coffee exactly how she liked it. 2 sugars, splash of cream, served in the expensive cup her mother gave us for our wedding. The Louboutins, the ones that make me 6 feet tall. There it was, that little dig. The ones that make me 6 feet tall, not the ones that look good with her dress, or the comfortable ones, the ones that give her height over me. I found them by the front door and brought them to her. She was standing in front of our full-length mirror, applying lipstick with the precision of a surgeon. Thanks, babe. She took them without looking at me. God, I love these shoes. They make me feel like a queen. You're already a queen, I said, because that's what husbands are supposed to say. She laughed, but it wasn't the warm laugh I'd fallen in love with 4 years ago. This was different, sharper. A queen needs a king, Wesley, not a court jester. I stood there holding her coffee, watching her slip into those shoes that would put her at 6 feet exactly, 2 inches taller than me, 2 inches that might as well have been 2 miles. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing, honey, just thinking out loud. She turned and kissed my cheek, leaving a perfect lipstick print. I'll be back around 3. Megan wants to hit that new wine bar after coffee. After she left, I sat in my home office, pretending to work on a network upgrade proposal while my mind replayed that conversation. Court jester. Not even a knight or a duke in her royal fantasy. A court jester. My phone buzzed. A text from Ray, my best friend and fellow IT guy. Beer tonight? Sarah's working late and I'm bored. Can't. Anniversary dinner with Jolene. Anniversary of what? You guys got married in June. I stared at his message. He was right. Our wedding anniversary was June 15th. Today was September 23rd. What anniversary was I celebrating? Then it hit me. Today marked 2 years since Jolene and I moved in together. 2 years since she'd said yes to sharing a life with me. I'd remembered, planned a nice dinner, made reservations at her favorite restaurant. She hadn't mentioned it once. The afternoon dragged by. I left work early to pick up flowers, white roses, her favorites, and stopped by the jewelry store to grab the necklace I'd had them hold for me, a simple gold chain with a small diamond pendant. Nothing too flashy, just something to show I remembered. At 6:30, I was dressed in my best suit, flowers on the counter, reservation confirmed. Jolene was supposed to be home by 5 to get ready. At 7, I texted her, "Ready when you are." 7:15, "Everything okay?" 7:30, "Should I push back the reservation?" 7:45, she finally responded, "OMG, sorry, lost track of time. The girls and I ran into some old friends. Be home soon." Old friends. In my experience, when Jolene said old friends, she meant men. Specifically, tall men who made her feel like the queen she thought she deserved to be. She walked in at 8:20, slightly drunk and unapologetic. "Sorry, babe. You know how it is when the girls get together." She kicked off her heels and immediately shrank back down to her normal height. "What's with the flowers?" "Our anniversary. 2 years since we moved in together." She blinked at me like I'd spoken in a foreign language. "Oh, right, that's sweet. Sweet." Like I was a child who'd drawn her a picture. "I made reservations at Ocean Air. We can still make it if we hurry." "Actually, I'm pretty full. We had appetizers at the wine bar, and then we ran into Grant and his friends, and they bought us dinner at this amazing new place in Fells Point." Grant Holleran, 6'4", former bouncer, current construction worker, and Jolene's ex-boyfriend from college. The man she'd dated for 3 years before she met me. The man she'd described as immature, but God, so handsome. Grant was there? Yeah, what a coincidence, right? He looks amazing, still working out constantly. You should see his arms now. She was looking at her phone while she talked, scrolling through what I assumed were pictures from their impromptu reunion. Jolene. Still scrolling. "Look at me." She looked up, and for a moment I saw something in her eyes I'd never seen before. Guilt. But not the kind of guilt that comes from forgetting an anniversary or staying out too late. This was deeper. This was the guilt of someone who'd been caught thinking about a different life. "Are we okay?" I asked. "Of course we're okay. Why wouldn't we be okay?" But she was already looking back at her phone. I went to bed that night listening to her text someone. The soft tap, tap, tap of her fingers on the screen went on for over an hour. When I asked who she was talking to, she said, "Just the girls, recapping tonight." But I knew better. I'd been managing network security for 8 years. I knew the difference between group chat patterns and private conversations. This was private. This was intimate. This was my wife texting another man while lying next to me in the bed I'd bought, in the apartment I'd paid for, wearing the wedding ring I'd saved 3 months to afford. The next morning, she was different. Lighter somehow, like a weight had been lifted from her shoulders. She hummed while getting ready for work, spent extra time on her makeup, chose her tightest dress. "Big day at the boutique?" I asked. "Just want to look good. You never know who you might run into." After she left, I sat in our kitchen drinking coffee from the expensive cup her mother gave us, staring out at the Baltimore skyline, and realized that my marriage was over. I just didn't know it yet. Ray showed up at my office Thursday afternoon with a face like a funeral director. He knocked on my cubicle wall twice, our old signal from college that meant, "We need to talk privately." "Conference room B is empty," he said quietly. I followed him down the hall, my stomach already twisting into knots. Ray wasn't dramatic by nature. If he looked this serious, something was seriously wrong. He closed the door behind us and pulled out his phone. "Wes, I need you to sit down. Just show me. Sit. Down." I sat. Ray pulled up a chair across from me and set his phone on the table between us. The screen showed a series of text message screenshots. Megan sent these to Sarah last night. Sarah debated all morning whether to tell me, and I've been debating all day whether to tell you. He pushed the phone toward me. But you're my best friend. You deserve to know. The first screenshot made me freeze. Jolene. I can't stop thinking about seeing Grant yesterday. God, he looked incredible. Unknown number. He always did. Remember how he used to pick you up and carry you around? Jolene. Wesley can barely carry the groceries without complaining about his back. I'm 32 years old. I should be with a man who makes me feel small and feminine, not like an Amazon. Unknown number. So why aren't you? Jolene. Because Wesley's safe. He's got a good job, he worships me, and he pays for everything I want. But safe isn't attractive. Safe doesn't make my heart race. Unknown number. What does? Jolene. 6'4" construction workers who could bench press my husband. I scrolled to the next screenshot. Then the next. Each one was a knife twist. Jolene. I keep thinking about what my life would be like if I'd married Grant instead. He's got his own contracting business now, making good money. And Jesus, the way he looked at me yesterday. Unknown number. Did you get his number? Jolene. I never deleted it. The final screenshot was a photo. Grant, shirtless, standing in what looked like a construction site. His chest and arms were massive, his smile confident. The kind of man who'd never need to prove anything to anyone. Below the photo, Jolene had written, "This is what a real man looks like." I set the phone down carefully, like it might explode. Who's the other number? I asked. Megan. Sarah says she's been encouraging this for weeks. Apparently, she never thought you were good enough for Jolene. How long has this been going on? The texting? Sarah thinks about a month, but the feelings? Ray shrugged. Maybe always. I stared at the conference room wall, trying to process what I'd just read. My wife of 2 years, the woman I'd given everything to, thought I was a safe backup plan. A meal ticket with a decent credit score. There's more, Ray said quietly. More screenshots? More context. Sarah says Megan's been telling everyone in their friend group that Jolene settled when she married you. That she could do better but got scared of being alone. Everyone knows? Everyone but you. I stood up and walked to the window. Baltimore stretched out below us, thousands of people living their lives, unaware that mine was crumbling in real time. What are you going to do? Ray asked. I don't know. But that was a lie. I knew exactly what I was going to do. I just wasn't ready to say it out loud yet. I went home early that day, telling my boss I had a family emergency, which wasn't technically a lie. My family was about to have a very big emergency. Jolene wasn't home yet. I sat in my office and opened my laptop, then accessed our home security system. One of the perks of being married to a tech guy. Every conversation in our apartment was recorded and stored on our private server. For security purposes, of course. I pulled up the audio files from the past month and started listening. What I heard made the text messages look like love letters. Megan, I'm serious. I think I made a mistake marrying Wesley. He's just so small. And I don't just mean physically. So what are you going to do about it? I don't know. Divorce is expensive, and Wesley handles all the finances. I'd have to start over completely. What about Grant? What about him? Sarah saw his Instagram. He's single again. And he's been asking about you. A long pause. Then, really? Really? Maybe it's time to see if the grass is greener. I can't just leave Wesley, not without a plan. Who says you have to leave? Maybe you just explore your options. See what's out there. If something better comes along, then you make a decision. You mean cheat? I mean live your life. You're 32, Jolene. You're gorgeous, successful, and tied to a man who makes you feel like settling. That's not fair to either of you. I fast-forwarded through hours of similar conversations. Jolene complaining about my height, my personality, my boring job, Megan encouraging her to reach out to Grant, Letitia and Simone chiming in with their own observations about how Jolene could do better. But the worst part wasn't what they said about me. It was how they laughed, like I was a joke, like my marriage was entertainment for their weekly coffee dates. I was still listening when Jolene came home at 7:30. "Wes, I'm home!" I closed the laptop and went to greet her. She was glowing again, that same lightness I'd noticed yesterday morning. "Good day?" I asked. "Amazing day. I booked 3 new clients, and guess what? I ran into Grant again at lunch. He was eating at that sandwich place next to the boutique." What a coincidence. She either missed my sarcasm or chose to ignore it. "Right?" He asked if I wanted to grab coffee sometime. You know, catch up properly. "And what did you tell him?" "I said I'd think about it. I mean, we were friends before we dated. There's no harm in catching up with an old friend, right?" I looked at my wife, really looked at her. The woman I'd fallen in love with, worked overtime for, bought a penthouse for, planned to grow old with. She was standing in our kitchen, asking permission to start an affair. "Right," I said. "No harm at all." That night, she was on her phone again. More texting, more giggling, more of the tap, tap, tap that was becoming the soundtrack of my marriage's end. But this time, I was ready. While she was in the shower the next morning, I cloned her phone to mine. Every text, every call, every photo, I'd see it all in real time. By lunch, I had everything I needed. "Grant, can't stop thinking about yesterday. You look even better than you did in college." Jolene, flatterer, but thank you. It felt good to talk to someone who sees me as more than a paycheck. Grant, is that how he sees you? Jolene, Wesley sees me as a trophy, something pretty to show off to his tech nerd friends. But you see the real me. Grant, the real you is incredible. Always was. Jolene, I keep wondering what would have happened if we hadn't broken up. Grant, we broke up because we were kids. We're adults now. Jolene, adults with complications. Grant, complications can be solved. Jolene, can they? Grant, meet me tonight. Pier 5, 8 o'clock, let's find out. I screenshot everything and forwarded it to Ray. Then I texted Jolene, working late tonight, don't wait up. At 8:15, I was parked across from Pier 5, watching my wife kiss another man under the harbor lights. I didn't confront Jolene that night, or the next morning, or even that weekend. Instead, I did what I do best. I gathered information and I planned. See, here's the thing about being a network technician that most people don't understand. My job isn't just keeping servers running. It's about understanding systems, how they work, how they fail, and how to fix them when they break. Marriage, I was learning, is just another kind of system. And Jolene's system was about to experience a catastrophic failure. I spent the weekend documenting everything, screenshots of her texts with Grant, audio recordings of her conversations with her friends, even GPS data from her phone showing her trips to his apartment in Fells Point. She was building a secret life, and I was building a case file. By Monday morning, I had a complete picture of my wife's betrayal. The affair had been going on for 2 weeks. She was planning to leave me but wanted to secure her position first, which meant draining our joint savings account and potentially claiming I'd been emotionally abusive to justify taking half of everything I'd worked for. But here's what Jolene didn't understand about systems. They only work when all the components cooperate, and I was about to stop cooperating. Tuesday evening, she announced she was going out with the girls again. "Another wine night?" I asked. "Megan's having relationship problems. She needs support." The lie rolled off her tongue so smoothly, I almost admired the craftsmanship. "That's nice of you to be there for her." I try to be a good friend. She was applying lipstick in the hallway mirror. getting ready to go sleep with another man while wearing the earrings I'd bought her for Christmas. I know you do. Hey, before you go, can you help me with something? She sighed. What? I'm setting up a new backup system for our home network. I need to test the audio recording quality in different rooms. Can you just say something so I can check the levels? Wesley, I'm going to be late. It'll take 30 seconds, please. Another sigh, but she followed me into the living room where I had my laptop set up. What do you want me to say? Just talk naturally. Maybe tell me about your day. She rolled her eyes, but started talking. Well, I had 3 client consultations, booked 2 of them, and had lunch at that new place on Light Street. The salmon was amazing, but the service was slow. Oh, and I ran into Grant again. Again? Wow, you two keep bumping into each other. Baltimore's a small city. Anyway, he mentioned this new restaurant in Canton he wants to try. Said I should check it out. With him? A pause. Just a fraction of a second, but I caught it. He didn't specify. Just a recommendation. That's nice of him. Okay, I think I got what I needed, thanks. She kissed my cheek and left for her girls' night that would actually be spent in Grant's bed. After she was gone, I opened my laptop and began the systematic destruction of Jolene Carrington's life. First, I called our bank and moved half of our joint savings into a new account, my legal right as a joint account holder. Then I transferred the rest into a high-yield investment account that required both signatures to access. Jolene could see the money but couldn't touch it without me. Next, I contacted our landlord. Our lease was in my name only. Jolene had never qualified income-wise to be on it. I gave 60 days' notice that I'd be moving to a smaller unit in the same building, a 1-bedroom, for 1 person. Then I started making copies, bank statements, lease agreements, insurance policies, credit card bills, everything that proved I was the financial foundation of our life together. Everything that showed Jolene had contributed exactly $0 to our household expenses in the past 2 years. By the time she came home at midnight, smelling like cologne that wasn't mine, I had already begun dismantling the kingdom she thought she ruled. How was Megan? I asked from the couch where I was watching late-night TV. Emotional. Men are terrible. She kicked off her heels and padded toward the bedroom in her stockings. Present company excluded, I hope. She paused in the doorway. Of course, honey. You're one of the good ones. One of the good ones. The safe ones. The boring ones who pay the bills while their wives sleep with construction workers. Jolene? Yeah? I love you. She smiled, and for just a moment she looked like the woman I'd married. I love you too, Wes. Another lie. But this one hurt worse than all the others combined. Wednesday morning, I took a personal day and went to see a lawyer. Not for divorce, not yet, but for information. I wanted to know exactly where I stood legally, what my rights were, and what Jolene could and couldn't take from me when this all came crashing down. The news was better than I'd hoped. Maryland is an equitable distribution state, but fault matters. Adultery affects alimony, and since I could prove Jolene had been planning to leave while systematically draining our accounts, I had a strong case for keeping most of my assets. More importantly, I learned that everything I was planning was perfectly legal. Thursday evening, Jolene announced another girls' night. 2 nights this week? I asked. Megan must really be struggling. It's Simone this time, her boyfriend's being an ass. These women need better taste in men. Tell me about it. She was getting sloppy with her lies, probably because the affair was making her feel invincible. People in love think they're untouchable. People having affairs think they're invisible. Jolene was about to learn she was neither. After she left, I opened her laptop, the one I'd set up for her, with the password I'd created on the network I managed. I scrolled through her browser history, her social media, her email, building my case file, gathering ammunition. What I found was even worse than I'd expected. She'd been researching divorce attorneys, She'd looked up emotional abuse and financial control and how to prove mental cruelty. She was building a case against me, painting me as a controlling husband who used money to manipulate her. But the worst discovery was in her drafts folder. An unsent email to her sister in California. Lisa, I think I'm finally ready to leave Wesley. I know you never liked him, and you were right. He's suffocating me. I feel like I'm drowning in this marriage. I met someone who reminds me what it feels like to be alive again. His name is Grant, and he's everything Wesley isn't. Tall, strong, confident, a real man. I'm scared to leave, but I'm more scared of spending the rest of my life settling for someone who makes me feel small. I'm going to talk to a lawyer next week. Can I stay with you for a while after I tell Wesley? I don't think he'll take it well. I read it 3 times, each pass making me angrier, not just because she was leaving, but because of how she was framing it. I was the villain in her story, the controlling, suffocating husband who'd forced her into an affair by being, what? Supportive? Loving? Financially responsible? She wanted to paint herself as the victim and me as the abuser. She wanted to rewrite our entire relationship to justify her betrayal. That's when I decided that Jolene Carrington deserved everything that was coming to her, and everything that was coming to her was going to be spectacular. Friday night, I cooked Jolene's favorite dinner: salmon with asparagus, wild rice, a bottle of the expensive wine she liked. I set the table with our good china, lit candles, put on soft music. The full romantic treatment. She came home from work looking suspicious. What's all this? Can't a husband make dinner for his wife? You can, but you usually don't. Not without a reason. I smiled and pulled out her chair. Maybe I'm just feeling grateful for what we have. She sat down, still wary. Grateful for what, specifically? For you, for us, for the life we've built together. I poured her wine, then sat across from her. I know I haven't been the most attentive husband lately. Work's been crazy, and I've been distracted. But I want you to know that you're the most important thing in my life. Her face softened slightly. Wesley. I mean it, Jolene. You're beautiful, successful, amazing. Sometimes I can't believe you chose me. Now she looked genuinely uncomfortable. Good. That's sweet, honey, but I was thinking we should take a trip. Maybe somewhere tropical, the Bahamas or Aruba. Just the 2 of us reconnecting. I reached across the table and took her hand. What do you say? She pulled her hand back gently. That sounds nice, but I can't take time off right now. The boutique is really busy. Too busy for your marriage? It's not that. It's just the timing isn't great. When would be better? I don't know. Maybe after the holidays? After she'd left me for Grant, she meant. After she'd destroyed our marriage and moved on to her next victim. Of course. You're right. Work comes first. We ate in relative silence after that. Jolene kept checking her phone, probably getting texts from her boyfriend. I kept refilling her wine glass, keeping her relaxed and off guard. This salmon is really good, she said eventually. Thanks. I wanted tonight to be special. Why? Do I need a reason to celebrate my wife? She looked at me for a long moment, and I could see the guilt warring with her anticipation for whatever Grant had planned for later. Wesley, can I ask you something? Anything. Are you happy? I mean, really happy? It was a loaded question, and we both knew it. She was looking for permission to leave, absolution for what she was about to do. If I said no, she could tell herself she was setting us both free. I'm happy when you're happy, I said. Are you happy, Jolene? I don't know anymore. What would make you happy? Another long pause. I think I need some space to figure that out. What kind of space? I don't know yet. Maybe I could stay with Megan for a few days, just to clear my head. Is this about us? Or is this about someone else? Her face went pale. What do you mean? I mean, If there's someone else, I'd rather you just tell me. I'm not going to beg you to stay if you don't want to be here. There's no one else, Wesley. I need some time to think. The lie hung in the air between us like smoke. I could have called her out right then, could have shown her the screenshots and recordings and GPS data, could have ended it all in that moment, but that would have been too easy, too clean. Jolene wanted to be the victim in this story, but victims don't get to choose how their stories end. Okay, I said finally. If that's what you need. Relief flooded her face. Really? You're not angry? I'm disappointed. But if you need space, then take space. Just promise me you'll be honest about what this is really about. I promise. Another lie. But this one was the last one she'd ever tell me. After dinner, she went to pack a bag for a few days at Megan's. I cleaned up the kitchen and loaded the dishwasher, playing the part of the understanding husband right up until she walked out the door. I'll call you tomorrow, she said, kissing my cheek. Take all the time you need. She left with 2 suitcases and a guilty conscience, thinking she'd managed the situation perfectly, thinking she'd bought herself time to figure out how to leave me without looking like the bad guy. What she'd actually done was make my job much easier. Saturday morning, I started moving her things out of the penthouse, not throwing them away. That would look vindictive. Just packing them carefully into boxes and storing them in our building's storage unit. When people asked, I'd say she was taking some time to think, and I was giving her space by putting away things that reminded me of her. It was a story that made me look like a caring, understanding husband, which was important for what came next. Sunday evening, Jolene called. Hey, she said, and I could hear traffic in the background. How are you doing? I'm okay. Missing you, but okay. How's the thinking going? It's complicated. I need more time. How much more time? I don't know. A few weeks maybe? Jolene, a few weeks sounds less like thinking and more like a trial separation. Maybe that's what this is. Is that what you want? A separation? A long pause. I think it might be best for both of us. I see. I let the hurt creep into my voice. Can I ask what changed? A week ago we were talking about anniversary dinners. Now you want a separation. Nothing changed. That's the problem. We're stuck, Wesley. We've been stuck for months, maybe years. I need to figure out if this is the life I want. And you can't figure that out while we're together? No, I can't. Okay. If that's what you need, then that's what we'll do. Really? Just like that? Jolene, I love you. If giving you space is what it takes to save our marriage, then I'll give you space. But I need you to be honest with me about one thing. What? Is there someone else? The pause was so long, I thought the call had dropped. No, she said finally. There's no one else. Okay, I believe you. But my voice said I didn't believe her. My voice said I was a trusting husband trying to hold his marriage together while his wife lied to his face, which was exactly the impression I wanted to give. Wesley, I'm sorry. I know this is hard. It is hard, but I'd rather have you happy somewhere else than miserable here with me. You're a good man. I try to be. After we hung up, I sat in my empty penthouse looking out at the harbor lights and smiled for the first time in weeks. Jolene thought she was writing the story of her liberation. What she was actually writing was the story of her complete and total destruction. And I was about to be her editor. Monday morning, I called in sick to work and drove to Grant Holleran's apartment complex in Fells Point. It was exactly what I'd expected. A converted warehouse with thin walls, questionable plumbing, and the kind of neighbors who minded their own business. I wasn't there to confront him. Not yet. I was there to understand what my wife thought was worth throwing away our marriage for. Grant lived on the 3rd floor of a building that had seen better decades. The hallway smelled like cigarettes and disappointment. I could hear TVs blaring, couples fighting, someone's music thumping through the walls. This was the kingdom Jolene preferred to our penthouse. I didn't knock on his door. Instead, I sat in my car across the street and waited. At 11:30, Jolene's BMW pulled into the parking lot. She got out wearing a sundress I'd bought her for our honeymoon, carrying coffee for two. She looked happy, genuinely, radiantly happy in a way I hadn't seen in months. That hurt more than all the lies combined. I followed them that day, staying far enough back to avoid detection. They went to lunch at a waterfront restaurant, holding hands across the table like teenagers. They walked through Fells Point holding hands, stopping to kiss every few blocks. They went back to his apartment at 3 in the afternoon and didn't come out until evening. My wife was living a romance novel while I was living a tragedy. That night she called me from Megan's. "How was your day?" I asked. "Quiet, relaxing. I went for a walk, did some thinking." "Any conclusions?" "Not yet, but I'm starting to feel more like myself again." "That's good. I want you to feel like yourself." "Wesley? Yeah? Thank you for being so understanding about this. I know it's not easy. I love you, Jolene. That means I want what's best for you, even if it's not what's best for me. You really are a good man. I'm trying to be the man you deserve." After we hung up, I opened my laptop and began crafting the most important email of my life. It was addressed to Megan, Letitia, and Simone, Jolene's inner circle, the women who'd encouraged her affair and laughed at my marriage. The subject line read, "About Jolene." The body was simple. "Ladies, I hope you're all well. I wanted to reach out because I know you've been supporting Jolene through this difficult time in our marriage. As her closest friends, I'm sure you want what's best for her just like I do. I've been doing some thinking during our separation, and I've realized that you're right. Jolene deserves better than what I can give her. She deserves someone who makes her feel beautiful and desired and alive. Someone who can give her the kind of love she's been missing. I'm sure you'll be happy to know she's found that someone." I've attached some photos and messages that show just how happy Jolene is with her new relationship. I thought you might want to see how radiant she looks when she's with someone who truly appreciates her. I won't be contesting the divorce. Jolene deserves her freedom, and Grant deserves a chance to make her happy in ways I never could. Please take care of her. She's going to need good friends when this all becomes public. Best regards, Wesley. The attachments were screenshots of Jolene's texts with Grant, photos of them together that I'd taken from across the street, and GPS data showing her daily trips to his apartment. I sent the email at 11:47 p.m. on a Monday night, when I knew all three women would be checking their phones before bed. By Tuesday morning, Jolene's secret was no longer secret. Megan called her at 7:15 a.m. I know because I was still monitoring Jolene's phone. "Jolene, what the hell is this email Wesley sent us?" "What email?" "Check your phone. He knows about Grant." A long pause. Then, "Oh my God. Did you tell him?" "No, I don't understand how he has pictures, Jolene. Pictures of you and Grant together. Timestamps showing you've been going to his apartment every day. He's been following me?" "Apparently." Jesus Christ, Jolene, this is bad. He sent this to all of us. How long before he sends it to everyone? He wouldn't do that. Wouldn't he? You've been lying to him for weeks. You're living with another man while still married. How do you think that makes him look? Another pause. I need to call him. You need to call a lawyer. My phone rang at 7:22 a.m. Wesley, we need to talk. Good morning, Jolene. How are you? Don't play games with me. I know you sent that email. What email? You know what email, the one with the pictures. Oh, that email. Yes, I sent that. How could you? Those were private moments. Private moments between my wife and her boyfriend? I'm not sure private is the right word. Wesley, please, let me explain. Explain what? That you've been sleeping with another man while telling me you need space to think? That you've been living with him while pretending to stay at Megan's? That you've been planning to divorce me while draining our bank accounts? Silence. Yes, Jolene. I know about all of it. The lawyer consultations, the financial planning, the sob story you've been crafting about what a terrible husband I am. I know everything. If you know everything, then you know I wasn't happy. So you decided to destroy our marriage instead of ending it honestly. I was trying to figure out how to end it without hurting you. By cheating on me? By finding the courage to leave. In Grant's bed. Wesley, please, no. You made your choice, Jolene. You chose him over me. Lies over honesty, drama over dignity. You don't get to control how this story ends anymore. What does that mean? It means I'm done being your safety net. You want Grant? You can have him. But you can't have him and our apartment and our bank account and your reputation. You have to choose. Are you threatening me? I'm informing you. The lease is in my name. The savings account requires both signatures now, and your friends know exactly what kind of person you really are. You bastard. I'm the bastard? I'm not the one who's been living a double life. I want half of everything. Then you should have thought of that before you started planning to claim I was emotionally abusive. Yes, I found those emails too. A long pause. I'll fight you. With what money? I've seen your bank statements, remember? You've got about $3,000 to your name. I've got lawyers on retainer and evidence of adultery. How do you think that fight is going to go? I hate you. No, you don't. You hate that you got caught. You hate that your perfect plan fell apart. You hate that you can't be the victim anymore. Screw you, Wesley. Already did that, Jolene, for 2 years, but now it's Grant's turn. She hung up. I sat in my empty penthouse, looking out at the harbor, and realized I felt lighter than I had in months. The weight of pretending to be happy, of ignoring the obvious, of playing the fool in my own marriage, it was all gone. My phone buzzed. A text from Ray. Sarah says Megan is telling everyone what happened. How are you holding up? I typed back, never better. And for the first time in a long time, that wasn't a lie. But I wasn't done yet. Jolene wanted to play victim, wanted to rewrite our story, wanted to walk away with her dignity intact. She was about to learn that dignity, like trust, is much easier to lose than to rebuild. And I was just getting started. The confrontation came on a Thursday evening, 2 weeks after I'd sent the email to Jolene's friends. I was in my home office working on a network security proposal when I heard voices in the hallway outside my apartment. Loud voices, angry voices. One of them was Jolene. I don't care what the lease says, Megan. Half of everything in that apartment is mine. I lived there for 2 years. And you cheated on him for the last month of it, came Megan's voice. Jesus, Jolene, what did you think was going to happen? I thought he'd be reasonable. I thought we could work something out like adults. You thought you could have your cake and eat it too. I opened my door and found them standing in the hallway, Jolene, Megan, and Simone. Jolene was holding a key that no longer worked. I'd had the locks changed the day after our phone call. Ladies, I said pleasantly, this is unexpected. Jolene spun around, her face flushed with anger and embarrassment. She'd lost weight in the past 2 weeks, and not in a good way. Her clothes hung loose, her cheekbones were sharp, and there were dark circles under her eyes. Wesley, we need to talk. We talked 2 weeks ago. I thought we covered everything. I want my things. Your things are in storage unit B12 in the basement. I can give you the key, but you'll need to arrange your own moving truck. That's not what I mean, and you know it. Then what do you mean? I mean my share of our life together. The furniture I picked out, the art I bought, the furniture you picked out with my credit card, the art you bought with money from my checking account. Megan and Simone exchanged glances. This was clearly not going the way Jolene had planned. I was your wife, Jolene said. I contributed to our household. How? Specifically, how did you contribute? I managed our social calendar, I decorated our home, I supported your career. You planned parties with my money, you bought decorations with my credit cards, and you supported my career by complaining about my height to your friends. That's not fair. What's not fair is you trying to rewrite history. What's not fair is you painting me as controlling and abusive to justify your affair. What's not fair is you planning to take half of everything I worked for while sleeping with another man in his bed. Simone winced. Megan looked at the floor. Jolene's face went from flushed to pale. I never said you were abusive. No? Then what was that email to your sister about me being suffocating and controlling? What were those Google searches about emotional abuse and financial manipulation? How do you know about... She stopped herself, but it was too late. How do I know about your private emails and search history? The same way I know about your daily trips to Grant's apartment, your plans to drain our savings account, and your consultations with divorce attorneys. You seem to forget that I set up all our technology, Jolene. Every device, every account, every password. Did you really think I wouldn't notice when you started planning to destroy me? I wasn't planning to destroy you. No? Then what would you call it? I was planning to leave you. By claiming I was emotionally abusive, taking half my assets and moving in with the man you'd been cheating with. Yes, very clean, very honest. Megan cleared her throat. Maybe we should go, Jolene. No. Jolene stepped closer to me, her voice dropping to a hiss. You want to humiliate me? Fine. You want to keep everything? Fine. But don't pretend you're the victim here. You were a terrible husband. Boring, controlling, small. I settled when I married you, and we both know it. Is that what you tell yourself? That you settled? I know I settled. Then why are you here begging for half of what the man you settled for built? She stared at me, her mouth opening and closing like a fish. You want to know what I think, Jolene? I think you didn't settle. I think you married up, and you knew it, and it scared you. I think you've spent 2 years trying to sabotage what we had because you didn't believe you deserved it. That's ridiculous. Is it? You're 32 years old, working part-time at a boutique, living off credit cards and charm. I gave you a penthouse apartment, financial security, and a man who worshipped you. And you threw it away for a construction worker who lives in a converted warehouse. Grant makes good money. Grant makes 1/3 of what I make. Grant lives in a studio apartment with a Murphy bed. Grant's idea of a romantic dinner is take-out Chinese and a 6-pack of beer. Money isn't everything, says the woman who's been living off mine for 2 years. Simone tugged on Jolene's arm. Come on, let's go. But Jolene wasn't done. You know what your problem is, Wesley. You think because you pay for things, you own people. You think because you have a good job and a nice apartment, you deserve a beautiful wife. But you can't buy love. You can't purchase passion. And you sure as hell can't force someone to find you attractive. You're right, I said. I can't force you to find me attractive. But I also can't force myself to support a woman who finds me repulsive. So here's what's going to happen. I pulled out my phone and showed her the screen. It was our joint credit card account, showing a balance of 0. I've canceled all our joint accounts, the credit cards, the savings, the investment portfolio, all of it. You want to start over with Grant? Start over completely. Her face went white. You can't do that. I can, and I did. You want to know the difference between you and me, Jolene? I actually read the terms and conditions on the accounts I open. Every single one of those accounts lists me as the primary holder. You were an authorized user. That's not legal. It's completely legal. Call a lawyer if you don't believe me. Oh, wait. You can't afford a lawyer anymore. Megan stepped forward. Wesley, this is cruel. Cruel? What's cruel is lying to your husband for months while planning to destroy his reputation and steal his assets. What's cruel is making someone feel like a fool in their own marriage. What's cruel is convincing someone they're lucky to have you while you're sleeping with someone else. I looked back at Jolene. You want to call me small? Fine. You want to say you settled? Fine. But you don't get to do it from the comfort of the life I built for you. I'll fight this. With what? You have no money, no job, and no credibility. Your friends know you're a cheater. Your family knows you're a liar. And Grant? I smiled. How's Grant handling the pressure of being your full-time support system? Her silence told me everything I needed to know. Not well, I'm guessing. Funny how romance fades when it stops being convenient. Screw you, Wesley. Already did that, remember? But here's the thing, Jolene. I was never the problem in our marriage. I was the solution. I was the man who loved you despite your flaws, supported your dreams, and gave you everything you said you wanted. And you threw it away because you thought you could do better. I gestured toward the hallway, toward the life she'd chosen. How's that working out for you? She turned and walked toward the elevator, Megan and Simone trailing behind her. At the elevator, she turned back. I hope you're happy. I am, I said. For the first time in months, I'm genuinely happy. The elevator doors closed, and they were gone. I went back into my apartment and poured myself a glass of the expensive whiskey I'd been saving for a special occasion. Then I walked out onto my balcony and looked down at the harbor, at the city lights reflecting on the water, at the life I'd built and nearly lost to someone who never deserved it. My phone buzzed. A text from Ray. How did it go? It's over, I typed back. How do you feel? I thought about that for a moment. How did I feel? Relieved, vindicated, free. But mostly, I felt like I'd finally learned the difference between being alone and being lonely. I'd been lonely for months while married to Jolene. Now I was alone, and it felt like coming home. 6 months later, I heard through Ray that Jolene and Grant had broken up. Apparently, the reality of supporting a woman with no income and expensive tastes had worn thin pretty quickly. She'd moved back in with her parents in Pennsylvania and was working at a department store makeup counter. Megan had stopped speaking to her after Jolene asked to borrow money for the 3rd time. Simone and Letitia had moved on to more interesting drama. As for me, I was dating a woman named Sarah who worked in cybersecurity, made her own money, and thought my height was just fine. We were taking things slow, building something real instead of rushing into something that looked good on social media. I never saw Jolene again, but sometimes, when I was out with Sarah at one of the nice restaurants I could afford again, I'd think about my ex-wife working retail in suburban Pennsylvania, and I'd smile. Not because I was cruel, not because I enjoyed her suffering, but because sometimes justice looks a lot like people getting exactly what they deserve. And Jolene Carrington had finally gotten exactly what she deserved.